Oh, hi, it's Jean Tuitt with Celery News today. Celery Queen Jean has a few little news bites for you in case you've been too busy trying to, handle your life and your bills and everything. I just thought I'd give you a little synopsis of what's going on in the world. Um, I hope you listened to President Trump's speech. Um, he just released a bunch of classified documents concerning the election of 2020. So that's interesting. A lot has come out on that about what some people did um, with China and different politicians and all kinds of things. So anyway, check that out and do your own homework and research on that. The Some of the mainstream media already came out and said, "Oh, this is old news." Well, it's not, because it can't be debunked yet because he released it at the very same moment that he went live on air the other night. So it's a lot to unpack, okay? So that's something to look at in case you have time to look at that in the Epstein files. And, just a quick note on that. He did, I guess he kicked Epstein and his people out of the Mar-a-Lago years ago too, for all kinds of stuff. So, you can only imagine. So, I'm an independent voter, so I don't take sides really, but I think that it's important for the news to report on everything and cover both sides and not be so slanted. Now, another thing about these data centers, apparently the water that they're using to treat the data centers, I might be able to, I just posted a video that the scientist was talking about how the water that they're using for the data centers all across the nation in various states. I think they have one near here now. I'm in Central Texas. I'm between Dallas and Austin. I guess you figured that out. So if you haven't, but they're doing a lot more like south of Austin, and they're doing a gigantic one out towards West Texas, out in Amarillo. Now there is a city of West Texas, which is not far from here, but of course West Texas is, geographically the West Texas. Amarillo, Lubbock, they're building some big ones out there, and the people are not happy because it'll take up a lot of their water supply, energy supply, etc. And some people have even, in some states, been kicked out of their houses already. I guess they're offered money to, I suppose they're offering them money to, well, they would have to move out of their house so they can build a data center where their house is. And that's, of course, they've done that for years, decades, when they kick people out of their houses, if they need to build a railroad or a highway or whatever, or I guess even a shopping center or something. Usually they can't always do that. I used to go to city council meetings years ago, as a reporter and all that. I haven't been a reporter in several years. I never made the transition from small newspapers to big newspapers to the national news to the news desk, at a big outlet. Of course, it's competitive, just like acting. Of course, you can always be an actor or reporter. You can do citizen journalism. With the internet, you can do all kinds of things and research and do some writing and everything, podcasts, etc. Now, the next thing that people were concerned about with this scientist, and I guess I should post the link for that, although I did post it on X, and I should post it on YouTube again. On Facebook, I posted on my Facebook too. Now, basically, they said that the water could be contaminated with the parasites too, and it comes out into the tap water. Now, I drink tap water here some. I mean, of course, I drink bottled water too, and I do need to get a water filter. Of course, for parasites, sometimes I do take those drops because it's not just in potentially tap water. It can be in all kinds of food and things. You know, like I said, the fruit that's washed with the water. And but I thought that was so weird that the water that they're using to pump the data centers, you know, power, could be contaminated in some states with some kind of parasites too. And then I guess those are different from the parasites that the farmers and ranchers are concerned about that may have gotten into the cattle. But I saw one cattleman, or yeah, he was a rancher cattleman, talked the other day and said that's what they do. They have to constantly watch out for that. It's kind of like deworming your dog or cat, or, you know, and people need to be dewormed too. And my friend Angela has created all these products that I can be affiliate for. She also has some, you know, dewormers for people, you know, which like the drops. And there's a lot of fruit and vegetables that you can actually take that help to cleanse parasites, like pumpkin seeds and different things. I think I did one little video on that one day. But anyway, it's a lot to unpack. There's a lot going on in the world. And you know, we have to just keep going in life. And my biggest thing is to stay self-motivated. And I think I finally got over all those celeb imposter people. I still get some. You know, let one have my email, but he was posting up there. I don't know. Some of them are fan clubs too, but you got to watch out, you know, because one of them, not just the Brad Pitt ones, but the Elon Musk ones, said they would bring a Tesla to your house. Of course, I have a small apartment, you know, and when people move here, sometimes some people just drive their little pickup truck right up to the apartment. I mean, which kind of upset me because when I moved, I had to, you know, had some little movers help me. But anyway, if it's timing like that, does that mean, I guess I still have room? So, yeah, we have to keep buying more and more storage for our, you know, our iPhone or iCloud or whatever. You know, it just costs so much money for all these apps, you know. But taking that Telegram and that WhatsApp off my cell phone, deleting those, I either deleted them or took them off, was a game changer for me, because I had those Brad Pitt imposters just all over that. Every time I blocked and reported one, they'd reinvent themselves. And I made the mistake of letting them know that I really liked him and, you know, felt attraction and all that. I mean, you know, I wasn't the only one. But I finally saw the interview that Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio did last night. It was a podcast. I listened to it. It was very interesting. I was very tired. I finally went to sleep to it. But I mean, I heard all of it, I think. It was very interesting. If I may reshare that. Sometimes it won't always let me share things if I don't have enough space to. But anyway, it was a very interesting podcast, and I didn't realize that Mark Maron has such interesting podcasts. I think I follow him on one of the social media sites, but it was so interesting about the early days of Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt, and starting out, and of course I'd studied a lot about Brad Pitt because he came from Oklahoma, which is not far from Texas, and then went to Missouri, which I went my freshman year to Missouri journalism school, and he didn't finish. I ended up coming back to Texas to get my journalism degree myself. But Leonardo DiCaprio used to go around with his father to, I believe it was comic stores, and promoting all kinds of things, selling t-shirts. I have to go back and check. But I mean, he had an interesting life with his father. And I guess his mom too. They originally, I believe, came from Germany, or maybe it was his grandparents. Like I said, I was falling asleep during it. I will listen to it again. And then when I saw that Mark Maron has interviewed so many interesting people in show business, and what I like about his interviews is he really just kind of makes people feel relaxed. He was joking around with them, and so he's a lot better at tech than a lot of people, but he was getting upset at the tech and yelling at his microphone. And, I mean, I get so upset myself, and I know Angela has that too. She has a story about how she went with a guy or married a guy, or maybe fell for some guy at one point because he was so good with tech. And, I can understand that because there's always so much to learn about it all the time. But I still don't understand why they have to, back to these data centers, why they have to have so many data centers. And what are they saving? I mean, what is so interesting that, what are they, I mean, what is the point? I don't get it. What is going on with this? And why do they need to save all this stuff? I guess when we're gone, they're gonna figure out how to make money with things that we've done, maybe. I don't know. I haven't even been monetized yet on anything, okay? I'm still trying to, sell products and, a lot of stuff. So, but I've been healing from a lot of things that I went through in the past that made me a little negative about, or, having a relationship and everything. And I'm pretty open now about finding somebody. But the trouble with, the longer you're on your own, the more picky you are, But I'm kind of, still have a little bit of a Cinderella complex, but not as much, even though I'm a lot older and everything. But yeah, and I was replying to someone too about the Harvey Weinstein thing. I didn't even know who it was that time that I met him, and he tried to do all these things. But to me, I didn't find it that unusual. I was a little younger then, in my 40s, but I mean, a lot of men try to do all these things, and a lot of these young girls that got so upset, I can understand it though, because he was directly linking that with their acting careers, Whereas with me, I was still only like a year out there, and I was doing acting classes, and even though I did, musicals and all that growing up in high school years ago, but I mean, I was actually still in the process of, getting different headshot resumes, going on auditions, doing a lot of extra work, substitute teaching. So it was kind of in the new part of my career. But I remember one thing, and because one of my subscribers here, Jude, was asking about it. First of all, I didn't know who it was until later, and especially after all that news came out. Then I realized who it was. But, he'd given me his card, and I found it later too. Harvey Weinstein, blah, blah, blah. I'm not even sure where it is right now, but it's here someplace, I suppose. But anyway, more clutter to go through. But yeah, I didn't even think about it, And so anyway, he was saying, well, I could really help you. Well, at the time, of course, I was younger and I looked better. I mean, I don't look too bad for a much older lady now, but it was some time ago, and maybe I should have figured out how to like say, okay, I'll go meet at your office, but whatever, I can't, I'm whatever. And I did tell him though. I did tell him that I didn't explain CSA victim because I didn't really even know a lot about that until I took Angela's program. But that I was a survivor of childhood, SE, whatever, abuse and everything. Went through some a rough patch there as a child and young preteen and teen young woman. And, on my way to college too and everything. But I kind of shared a little bit of that with him, and he was a little bit compassionate about it. Is compassionate the right word, or not sympathetic? But he understood. And I told him, because like I said, had no idea who it was. Well, first of all, when I was a lot younger, like in my 20s, I was really cute. And so I wouldn't normally, go with someone like that because I guess I was kind of superficial, and I wanted to only be with very handsome men, which isn't always the answer either. But I've been with some men that were not very cute at all, and they were a lot of times more mean than the more handsome ones because they had a chip on their shoulder about their looks and such. So, but anyway, he was trying to, Mr. Harvey, or Harvey, not the rabbit, but Harvey W. Anyway, was trying to say he could help me with my career and whatever. And I was like an idiot. I was saying, well, I've got some, I was paying for some really good acting classes. Like I said, I trained with Joanne Linville, who trained Mark Ruffalo, and her ex-husband was a director and wrote on Golden Pond, directed Jane Fonda, Henry Fonda, and Katharine Hepburn in that movie. I mean, like, Joanne's ex-husband directed all that. Her son was in a movie with like Meg Ryan and and all this stuff. I mean, Joanne was in a movie with Burt Lancaster, Joanne Linville, and I had trained with some other great people too. Steve Easton, John Swanbeck, and a whole myriad of people. I don't want to leave out any. Dee Wallace Stone. Well, actually, one class with her and then her assistant because you have to advance to her higher level. I mean, I got to the point where I couldn't. You just can't afford to take all these classes. Well, anyway, I had told Weinstein, I said, oh, I've got some great classes. I'd rather go through it the regular way. Because he kept saying, well, if you kind of, get with me, or I can't remember if we used the word date or go with me or kind of fool around. I mean, he was like getting pretty aggressive. But, I do have the gift of gab, and I talked my way out of it. When I got out of there, I mean, I talked him down, and I was even able to drive him to where he needed to be. It wasn't very far. And and drop him off and, kind of took control. It's always better to be the one driving. That's a real good hint. I learned that years ago. In fact, actually, ironically, my dad told me that because one of his customers' daughters did that. Like, when you don't ever get in the car with a man you don't know very well and either meet them there or you be the one to drive. Okay? So, I mean, unless they're like somebody, like a crazy person that's going to like totally attack you and everything, well, most men are more seductive or smooth operators or whatever. And, but when you're the one driving, they're not going to just try something because that's dangerous for them, in the car, see. So be careful out there, guys. And, but I didn't even know. But anyway, I just wanted to say that one thing. And I didn't know who it was until years later, actually, when I saw all this on the news, and then I put it all together. I had moved so much. I had so much grief about my mom passing, and then later on, my brother years later, and just a lot of stuff in life and healing, and I've survived a lot of things. So I'm usually pretty good at anything I set my mind to, but in more recent years, I've been... I've gravitated actually towards more competitive and interesting things that are kind of challenging to make a living at. So I still have to stay grounded, and so I still probably need to get another little, in addition to my sales. But yeah, if you want to buy these wands, these celery wands, let me know. They're plastic, and you can use them for your workout or healing, and I may set up some classes on that too. Angela's real busy. Like today, she's selling all her new products and helping people heal with all her oils and everything. And then my friend Colleen has the Oliabo, which is great, the olive oil from Italy, which is helpful. And but the oil comes with these two things. And then she has one where you can get the giant bottle it's like $69 for the giant healing bottle, it's got all these great natural products in it for healing of your joints and muscles and aches and pains, and it kind of helps alleviate a lot of things. And now she's starting, and I have some of this posted on my Instagram too. So in here, but if you want more information about all that, let me know. But anyway, over and out, guys. I just thought I'd kind of follow up with a little report here today on Saturday. Okay, all right. Thanks. Have a great one. Bye.